Now we shall consider few more problem related to magnetic field produced by a current carrying coil. So let me consider two concentric coils carrying current. Let the inner radius is R1, radius of the outer coil is R2. They are carrying current along the same direction. So therefore magnetic field at the center of the coil, at the common center, is, see here current is in clockwise direction, therefore magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane of the board and into the board, and here net magnetic field gets added up. B net is equal to B1 plus B2. What is B1? Mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi I1 by R1, and B2 is mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi I2 by R2. So therefore net magnetic field is mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi I1 by R1 plus I2 by R2. R this is mu naught by 2 I1 by R1, I2 by R2. If I1 is equal to I2 equals I, then B net is equal to mu naught I divided by 2 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2. Suppose if the current flowing in opposite directions, say in such a case current in one coil is this is I1, this is I2. Like this, current is flowing in opposite direction. So in such a case the net magnetic field is given by B net is equal to mu naught I by 2 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2 when magnetic field are in opposite direction. Have you got it? Now let me take the situation wherein the two coils are perpendicular to each other. Here we have taken concentric coils. Now let us take coils which are perpendicular to each other. See, one coil is like this, another coil is like this. They have common center. And current is here, both are of same radius. Radius of both the coils are same. Then B1 is equal to B2 is equal to carrying same current mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi I by R. They are perpendicular to each other. Therefore net magnetic field is equal to root of B1 square plus B2 square. This is equal to root 2 times mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi I by r, because they are equal now. If you take them as equal to b, this is equal to b. So then b square plus b square root 2 into b. So you will get this. Or on simplification, if you divide this, mu naught root 2 into mu naught I divided by 2r. Let us take third interesting situation wherein the coils are kept like this. We have two coils. We want to know what is the magnetic field here. They are at same distance. Let me take, this is current direction are like this. Magnetic field due to one coil, magnetic field due to other coil. Say V1, V2, say this is V. See then here V1 is equal to V2 is equal to, both are of same radius, or say mu naught by 4 pi 2 pi I r square by r square plus x square whole to the power of 3 by 2. So I take this as P. See therefore what is net magnetic field? Net magnetic field is root 2 times B. See therefore this is mu naught by 4 pi 2 root 2 pi I r square divided by r square plus x square whole to the power of 3 by 2. Or we can also write like this, B net is equal to, if you root 2 into mu naught I r square by 2 into r square plus x square whole to the power of 3 by 2. Or if you can avoid this, even you can put like this. See, we have a coil, we have a coil, we have a coil, carrying current. See here, we have to find magnetic field at O. Find magnetic field at O. Net magnetic field at O. Here, this point lies along the axis of this. See, therefore, if you take this 1, 2, 3, due to the segment 1, there is no magnetic field here. and due to segment 3 there is a magnetic field naturally, and due to this coil there is a magnetic field. See, therefore magnetic field at O due to segment 1 B1 equals 0. Magnetic field at O due to segment 3 is V3 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi. This is I by, if you take this as R, I by R. Magnetic field at P, at O, due to segment 2, B2 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi. See, here we have to take 3/4 of the length of the segment. See, therefore, say you will be getting what is this angle? This angle 3 pi by 2. I by R 3 into pi by 2. This angle is 3 pi by 2. So therefore B net equals B net is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by R. If you take it as a common, then you are getting 1 plus 3 pi by 2. 3 pi by 2. So 1, 2, 3. Here magnetic field at O due to segment 1 and segment 3 is 0 because they lies along the axis. Only see this particular part contributes. See, if you take this distance as R, then you can write here B1 is equal to B3 is equal to 0. What is B2? B2 is equal to, if you take this angle as alpha, B2 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by R into alpha. See, this is the net magnetic field at O. So let us take another interesting problem. So we have a segment like this. This is O. a current I flows through infinitely long wire, having infinite bands, as shown. The radius of first curved section, is A, and the radii of successive portions each increases by a factor n. Find the magnetic field at O. See, what is the general formula? B is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I by R into theta. If I take this angle as theta into theta. Okay. So here current is flowing in anti-clockwise direction. Therefore, you must take the field is directed towards you like this. This is in the place of R, I just use A. In the place of R, here I must use A. So let us take the net magnetic field. Here current once goes in the anti-clockwise direction, then clockwise, then anti-clockwise. See, therefore magnetic field is plus minus like that. See, therefore what is the net magnetic field? See, net magnetic field is given by, see, if you take second one, B2 is given by mu naught by 4 pi I into theta divided by n into A. See, here magnetic field is perpendicular to you. Here magnetic field is perpendicular to you and away from you. Then what is B3? B3 is mu naught by 4 pi I into theta n square into A. It is perpendicular to the board and towards you, like this. See, therefore what is net magnetic field? Net magnetic field is given by sum of all this. You just take out common 4 pi I theta divided by A. See, here 1. Next one minus 1 by n plus 1 by n square minus 1 by n cube, etc. up to infinity. So you know that sum to infinity is given by, sum to infinity is A by 1 minus R. First term is 1 minus 1 by n. You are going to get n by n plus 1. See, therefore B net magnetic field is equal to mu naught by 4 pi I into theta by A multiplied by n divided by n plus 1. This is also one of the standard problem appeared in the competitive exams. If the field direction is same, take it as positive. If it is oppositely directed, take it negative. It's a convention. last a square metallic frame, a square metallic frame is made of four rods, is made of four rods of same length A, of same length A, and made of same material, but rods 1 and 2 are of thickness 2D, and 3 and 4 are of thickness D. If they are arranged as shown, find magnetic induction at O, see here they are arranged like this. This is, just take it as current I1 or I. See, this is splits up into two current. One is I1 here, this is I, this is I2. Here you have to find out what is the magnetic field. Okay, so you know that the resistance of a wire is directly proportional to length and inversely proportional to area of cross section, or proportional to L, inversely proportional to area. But rho into L by area is a pi r square. This implies R inversely proportional to R square. See, therefore I just take this is 1 and 2, 1, 2, this is 3 and 4. See, when you take a resistance of 1 and 2, so since their thickness is 2D, see, I just consider their resistance is 1/4. R1 is equal to R by 4, R1 and R2, R1, this is R2, R1 is equal to R2, R by 4, R3 is equal to R4. I just take it as, see, their thickness is D, R. So when you take them in series, so when you take first series combination RS1, so you will be getting R by 4, so we have, yes, so we have to find out what is branch current. Branch current I1 is equal to main current into resistance in the other branch. So in a series combination, see, what is RS1? RS1 is R by 4 plus R by 4 gives you R by 2. RS2 is R plus R, 2R. See, therefore main current into resistance in the other branch divided by sum of the resistances, R by 2 plus 2R. See what you are going to get. See, this is, when you take out R common and cancel this, this is 5. So you are going to get 4 by 5 times I. See, therefore what is I2? I2 is equal to 1/5 of I. I1 and I2 are known. they have asked you to find out what is the magnetic field here. See, therefore B1 is equal to B2 due to these two. B1 is equal to B2 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi 4 by 5 times I divided by A. See, they have given it as A by, see, if you take if you take the distance like this becomes 45 degree, this again becomes 45 degree. See, therefore sin 45 plus sin 45. So this is comes out to be mu naught by 4 pi 4 into I by 5A into, see, this is 1 by root 2, 1 by root 2, 2 by root 2, or it is root 2. 2 by root 2 gives you root 2. And this is 4 root 2 mu naught by 4 pi 4 root 2 into I divided by 5A. So this is B1 and B2, both are same. And what about this, the second part? See, when you take this one here, current is 1/5 of I. See, therefore B3 is equal to B4 is equal to mu naught by 4 pi here is root 2 into I divided by 5A. So now you just take the net value of the magnetic field. See, if this is a square, its distance becomes A by 2. If this is A, if this distance is A, then this distance becomes A by 2. So therefore this is A by 2. When it becomes A by 2, you will be getting 8. See, 8 root 2. So this is 2 root 2. 2 root 2. Now you please find out what is B net. B net is equal to, you must add these two, and you must add these two. The net magnetic field is given by B net is equal to B1 plus B2 minus B3 plus B4. So you please simplify this. On simplifying, you will be getting mu naught by 4 pi I by A 12 root 2 by 5. 12 root 2 by 5. Now let us consider force between two current carrying conductors. Force between two straight parallel conductors carrying current along the same direction, just so if you take two straight parallel conductors carrying current along the same direction, so you know that force per unit length is given by mu naught by 2 pi I1 I2 divided by d. See, here there will be attraction. See, there will be force of attractive force. They attract each other. They attract each other by a force. See, it is given by this. Suppose if they carry current in opposite direction separated by a distance d. See, in such a case, they repel each other. By the same force. See that one. See, now let me take up another situation wherein we have a wire carrying current and there is a loop, rectangular loop. Okay, this is carrying current like this. This distance I take it as A and this distance as B. I take this as I1, this is I2. So, see here these two attract each other while these two repel each other. So, therefore, what is the net force acting on it? So, the net force experienced by it is given by force on the loop. F is equal to, suppose if you take this length as L, F is equal to mu naught by 2 pi I1 I2 into L 1 by A minus 1 by B. See here, attractive force is greater than repulsive force. However, if you want to find out the net force acting on the loop is given by this. Now let me take the case wherein there are three conductors carrying current A, B, C. See, there are three conductors. Say this distance is A, this distance is B. Okay, A, C, B. See, therefore, force per unit length on C, force per unit length on C is given by F by L is equal to mu naught by 2 pi. So if you take current, this is I1, this is I2, this is I3. So it is given by I1 I2 by A, difference I2 I3 by B. So whichever greater you must take it. See, this is difference, net force. There will be attraction between these two and there will be attraction between these two. So therefore, if you want to find out what is the net force acting on C, you must take the difference, whichever greater, from which you have to subtract. So therefore, net force is given by this. So let us find out another important result from this. Suppose if I work done by an external force in slowly reducing their distance. Suppose we have two conductors carrying current along the same direction separated by a distance d. Let me take currents are same. Say in such a case, the force of attraction with a I square by r. Okay, work done in reducing the distance, amount of work done, work done. See, I just move this conductor to this position, okay, so that it becomes r by 2. Amount of work done to do that, amount of work done to reduce distance of separation to r by 2 is suppose if you consider current flowing in opposite direction, then there will be a repulsive force. And what is that force? F is equal to mu naught by 2 pi I square into L by R. So therefore against repulsion you are displacing it. The work done is given by dW is equal to F into dx. See here, in the place of dx I just take dr. So what is the total work done? Total work done is given by integrating this. When you integrate this, so you are integrating from 0 to r by 2. So F is mu naught by 2 pi I square into L divided by R into dr. See, therefore on integration, see, you will be getting mu naught by 2 pi I square into L. See, 1 by R on integration gives you log R to the base E, See, there is a minus sign here. So you have to give the limit from 0 to r by 2. Now you just give the value for log r, which is equal to r by 2. Then simplify this. Minus mu naught by 2 pi I square into L log r by 2 to the base E minus log 0. Okay, see, this is the total work done. Position of null point. Suppose we have two current carrying wires which are separated by a distance d. Current are flowing in the same direction. At some point between these two conductors, the net magnetic field becomes equal to 0. That is called null point. Let this point be at P and I take this distance as x. What is the remaining distance? D minus x. Then the position of the null point is obtained by the equation, can be calculated by the equation x is equal to d divided by d into I1 divided by I2 plus I1. Suppose if the current flows in the same direction, we must use this relation. If the current flows in opposite direction, say in such a case, null point is outside the line joining of the two conductors. See, this distance I take it as x, this is t, I1, I2. See, in such a case, x is given by d into I1 divided by I2 minus I1. In both the cases, you must take I2 greater than I1. See, the null point is always very close to the current conductor carrying current of lesser magnitude. See, therefore, see, that distance should be taken as x. Example, two conductors, two wires, two straight wires of infinite length, carrying current 10 ampere and 15 ampere. Find the position of null point. Find the position of null point if perpendicular distance between them is 5 centimeter. See, now let me take the case wherein current is flowing in the same direction. See, I1 is how much? 10 ampere. I2 is 15 ampere. Null point is always lies in between them. This is x and the distance here is 5 centimeter. See, therefore, what is the position of null point? X is equal to d into I1 by I2 plus I1. See, here d is 5 centimeter. 5. I1 is 10 divided by 10 plus 15. 50 divided by 25. See, therefore, 2 centimeter. 2 centimeter from I1. Suppose if the current flows in opposite direction, then the null point will be here, point P. This distance is x. This is 5 centimeter. So, in this case, x is equal to d into I1 by I2 minus I1. 5 into 10 divided by 15 minus 10. See, this becomes out to be 10 centimeter. 10 centimeter away from it. Let us move on to pointer galvanometer. So, you know, galvanometer is a device used to detect current flowing in the circuit. And you know that the current sensitivity of the galvanometer is given by N into B into A divided by K, where K is the constant. Torsion per restoring torque per unit twist or couple per unit twist. It is a constant for a given material. And then voltage sensitivity of the pointer galvanometer is given by theta by V is equal to NBA divided by K into R, where R is the resistance of the wire. This is for pointer galvanometer. And reciprocal of reciprocal of this is called, current sensitivity is called figure of merit. Figure of merit is equal to reciprocal of theta by I, or current sensitivity. Current sensitivity. See, this is equal to K by NBA. See, that is called figure of merit. See, this is nothing but current required to produce unit deflection in the pointed galvanometer, that is called figure of merit. And then, say when you convert galvanometer to voltmeter, conversion of galvanometer to voltmeter. So you have to connect a very high resistance in series. See, this is the voltmeter. Potential difference is V, and this is Ig. And what is the resistance required? R is equal to V by Ig minus G. Remember, to increase the range of the voltmeter, you have to increase the value of series resistance. Only by increasing the value of series resistance, you can increase the range. Then, what is the effective resistance of this combination? R plus G. G plus R is the effective resistance of the combination. So when you take conversion of galvanometer to voltmeter, galvanometer to ammeter, so you must connect a very low resistance in parallel, and we call that resistance as shunt resistance, S. If I is the main current, Ig is the current through the galvanometer, I minus Ig is the current through the shunt. So then we can write IgG is equal to I minus Ig into S, R. We can write S is equal to IgG by I minus Ig. See, therefore, if you want to increase the range of the ammeter, you must change the value of shunt. Only by varying the shunt, you can either increase or decrease the range of the given ammeter. Okay, when you convert galvanometer to ammeter, its range can be varied only by varying the shunt resistance, not by any series resistance. So, knowing of all this, let us consider few important problems related to this. Now let us take one or two problems related to galvanometer. A galvanometer of resistance 20 ohm is shunted by 2 ohm resistor. 2 ohm resistor. What part of the main current? Flows through the galvanometer? Flows through the galvanometer. Goes through the galvanometer. See here, when you take the equation, S is equal to IgG by I minus Ig. See, this can be written as Ig by I is equal to Ig by I is equal to G by G plus S. When you rearrange this, you will be getting this equation. Ig by I is equal to G is what? 20. 20 plus 2. So therefore 20 by 22. 20 by 22. See, you are going to get, let us simplify this. S into I minus Sig is equal to Ig G. See, therefore S into I is equal to Ig into S plus G. See, therefore Ig by I, S by S plus G. S is 2, this is 2 plus 20, 2 by 22 by 11. Therefore Ig is equal to 1/11 of I. 1/11 of I. A galvanometer has resistance of 98 ohm. If 2% of main current is to be passed, through the meter, what should be the value of shunt? What should be the value of shunt? So in this case Ig is equal to 2% of I. This is what? 2 by 100 times I. And S becomes equal to Ig is 2 by 100 times I into G. G is 98 divided by I is I minus 2 by 100 times I. See, this comes out to be 2 ohm. See, therefore the value of shunt is 2 ohm. I take out I common and cancel it, so that finally you are going to get the deflection in a moving coil galvanometer falls from 50 divisions to 10 divisions. 50 divisions to 10 divisions. When a shunt of 50 shunt of 12 ohm is applied. 12 ohm is applied. What is the resistance of galvanometer? What is the resistance of galvanometer? See here, galvanometer resistance is not given. You have to determine that. So you know that the current is directly proportional to deflection produced. See, therefore Ig by I is equal to 10 by 50. See, this becomes equal to 1/5. This implies Ig is equal to 1/5 of I. Now S is equal to Igg by I minus Ig. Shunt is 12. 12 is equal to Ig is 1/5 of I into G divided by I minus 1/5 of I. This gives you 12 is equal to G divided by 4I, or G is equal to 48. Therefore resistance of the galvanometer is 48 ohm. The scale of galvanometer is divided into 150 divisions. 150 divisions. The galvanometer has current sensitivity of 10 division per milliampere and voltage sensitivity of 2 division per millivolt. How the galvanometer is designed to read 1 volt per division. 1 volt per division. So now first we shall find out what is the galvanometer resistance. They have not given galvanometer resistance. Galvanometer resistance G is equal to voltage sensitivity multiplied by 150 division. Then see here 150 divisions are given now. 150 division, 2 division per millivolt. See, therefore say this is 150 by 2 millivolt. And this is 150 by 10 milliampere. This becomes equal to 75 into 10 raised to minus 3. This is 15 into 10 raised to minus 3. Therefore 5 ohm. 5 ohm is the resistance. So now you have to convert this into voltmeter. To convert galvanometer to voltmeter, series resistance required is R is equal to V by Ig minus G. What is V here? V is 1 volt per division. How many divisions are there? 150 divisions are there. So therefore what is the range? The range will be, what is Ig? Ig is given. Now you just substitute for G, V and Ig. Ig, to read 1 volt per division, there are totally 150 divisions are there. See, therefore 150 volt. See, Ig current sensitivity 10 division per milliampere. So using that you just calculate what is Ig. See, Ig is 15. See, this is 150 divided by 15 into 10 raised to minus 3. And what is G? G is 5. See, this is 1000 minus 5. This comes out to be 10,000. This one 10,000. 9,995 ohm. See, by connecting 9,995 ohm, our galvanometer can be converted into voltmeter. See, if you want to increase the range of ammeter from I to Ni, to increase the range of ammeter from I to Ni, to increase the range of ammeter from I to Ni, into I to Ni, shunt required is S is equal to G by 10 minus 1. Okay, that you must remember this relation. And if you want to increase the range of voltmeter, similarly, to increase range of voltmeter from V to NV, series resistance required is R is equal to N minus 1 into G. See, by using these relations directly, you can calculate what is the shunt. Okay, let me stop at this stage. So we have covered different models in relation with this chapter, moving charges and magnetism. Okay, so please go through all the models. First go through the content and later on go through the models, then only please look into questions appeared in the competitive examination. While practicing it, first you have to go through the content, then next different models, only afterwards please look into questions. So in the next class I will open up the new chapter, magnetism and matter. It is also a very interesting chapter, and there afterwards we are left with only three chapters which completes the book 1, right? Okay, thank you very much.